Hey guys, all right, so one of the next things we're going to do to our quilted postcards is we're actually going to hand applique a fabric swatch onto the top somewhere, your choice, somewhere on the top of this fabric so that you would know how to stitch a free-floating piece of fabric onto the face. So I have a bunch of these different fabric swatches that I've picked up. And I'm not too concerned about this because this is just practice. I'm going to use this gold one and I'm going to pin it into place just so it doesn't skip around on me. Okay, through both of the fabrics and pop it back up so it goes through both. Okay, I'm also using a lot thicker thread for this just so you guys can see. You'll use your regular thread. Okay, now before we talked about this, and I had told you not to tie any knots in the end of your thread, but for this I'm going to tie a good double, triple knot in the end here so that it doesn't go through my fabric. Remember how I do that is I make a loop and go through 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Can't see. There you go. Oops, that didn't really work. Okay, something like that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here to applique this is I'm actually going to start in a corner. Let me move this a little bit. And I'm actually going to start underneath the fabric for this in the corner here. I'm going to give this a good pull all the way to the end of my thread. And basically my knot is going to hide underneath my fabric. See that? I actually have to. I'm going to cut this. Get that out of there, get that out of my way. So the knot is hidden under there. And now I'm just going to go ahead and do a running stitch, or not a running stitch. I could do either. I could do a running stitch or a whip stitch. A running stitch would be like this, through the front. Give it a good pull. Come back up through the back. Keep it in a straight line. Give it a good pull. So this would be the running stitch. We did this also to make our seam to connect 2 pieces of fabric together. Okay, the other way I can attach this would be the whip stitch, which we did with our journal collaging. So however you would decide, either coming from the top or the bottom, and then just going through the front in a kind of rolling motion. Okay, come back up underneath through the swatch. And then back through the face of the fabric. There's lots of different ways to do this. I guess it just depends on the look that you're going for. You don't want to pull too tight. You don't want to buckle the fabric. You definitely don't want the fabric to squish, right? You want it to be nice and loose, and you want it to lay flat. Okay, so I would do that all the way around the outside edge of my quilted postcard. Let me go ahead and show you how to tie this off. So I'm basically at the back here. This would be the simple way to do it. I would just do a triple knot back here. Go through 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Give that a good pull nice and close to the fabric. Maybe do it again. I won't need to do it again with this fabric because it's so thick, but when you use your thin sewing thread, you definitely want to do a good double knot. And then when I sew this down onto my postcard, which we're going to do, remember, if this is my postcard here, I'm actually going to stitch this in the machine eventually, and I will cut this to size. So I will cut all this excess, and even this unevenness will be what we call square it off. And then we'll sew that in the sewing machine, and we'll be done with our postcard project. All right, this would also be a good time if you wanted to add any beadings or any tassel or anything like that, or even play around more with the sewing machine. This right here is a zigzag stitch that I've just followed on some of the patterns. These are just some of the more decorative stitching. You can do that too. All right, get used to those sewing machines, guys, because we're going to be using them.